What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of That Franchise Guy Picks, where I am making 5 Vegas picks for each NFL weekend every Friday for the rest of the regular season. And then the second half of the video will be doing my weekly power rankings update. So let's get right into it here, starting with the picks. And these are ranked in order of my confidence in them. So starting with the 5th one, we've got the Steelers -9 at the Cleveland Browns. I think the Steelers are locked and loaded this year. They might even get a little boost from that Patriots loss. And the Browns, I'm really not buying. The defense has some pieces, but they're not ready. Offensively, yeah, their offensive line is great, but they do have a weakness at the right tackle spot, and I'm not buying DeShone Kizer. I don't think he's the starter next season. And then my 4th pick is actually Todd Gurley's rushing yards over, and these don't actually come out until usually Sunday morning. My guess is it'll be between 80 and 100, and I'm comfortable going over on that. They're playing the Colts, a terrible defense without Andrew Luck. The Rams are going to be able to win this game, probably on the shoulders of Todd Gurley. And my 3rd pick, the Philadelphia Eagles going to Washington. -1 favorite, but I am huge on the Eagles. I'm big on betting on my big surprise teams early in the year before the odds makers kind of catch up to that. It's not an easy game by any means, but I think Carson Wentz is going to be prepared. This defense has an amazing pass rush. Give me the Eagles -1 at Washington. And then the 2nd pick here is going to be the Texans at home against the Jaguars. Now, the Houston area has been just destroyed by this hurricane, but I think the fans are going to show up and ready to cheer, looking for some kind of a bright spot. I'm pretty high on the Texans, and I'm very low on the Jaguars. I mean, not only do I not think Blake Bortles is good, that's not an unpopular opinion, but I think that defense is going to be quite overrated this year. If you remember my deep dive, they don't have a pass rush, which I don't care who the rest of your guys are. If you don't have a pass rush, it's not going to work. So I like Houston. They need to win by 6 at home, but I think they can do it. And then my number 1 pick this week is the Arizona Cardinals, now a -2 point favorite going to Detroit. Now, I made this bet about 3 weeks ago when Arizona was actually an underdog, so I liked it more then, but I'm still pretty confident in this. Detroit is, in my mind, the biggest team set to disappoint people this year. I think they're one of the worst 6 or 7 teams in football this year, and I think Arizona is better than they're getting credit for. So this is just a solid week 1 bet, kind of betting on my whole layout for the season that differs from where they're coming in from last year. So that does it for my picks. Let's go through the power rankings now, and obviously Thursday Night Football is going to happen before I do these updates. These are power rankings I make on Wednesday before anything happens, so the Chiefs-Patriots game is not going to be impacted by these rankings specifically. So I split this week up into 5 tiers of teams. Those tiers are probably going to shift as we move through, but starting at tier 5, the bottom tier, your bottom feeders, these are the worst teams in football, and that's really not even close. So the Jets, the Browns, the Jags, and the Bills. Moving on to tier 4, these are your long shot teams, and I've actually got the 49ers at 28, moving up a couple spots. I think that defense is going to be tough, and I like what Kyle Shanahan brings to that offense. I think Brian Hoyer is also going to have a nice season. And then 27, the Colts dropping down a lot here, -7 spots. It's just weird with Andrew Luck, man. I would have them as a bottom feeder as of this week, but their outlook for the season isn't lost. And then the Bears at 26, moving up a little bit. I just like that defense. I like how they're going to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. The Dolphins, 25, was never high on the Dolphins, and then the Ryan Tannehill injury happens. I do think they have a higher floor with Jay Cutler. Actually, a higher ceiling, rather. And then the Lions, mentioned a disappointment year for them. The Rams moving up quite a bit, +6. They need to get Aaron Donald out there, but I love that defense. I think Jared Goff is going to be a little better than we expect. And then tier 3, these are sort of your fringy teams. So the Redskins, 22, Bengals, 21, Titans all the way down at 20. I've not been high on them all offseason, although they are sort of a love child of this offseason. And then the Ravens at 19, moving down a few spots just because of injuries. The Bucks at 18 haven't moved. The Saints moving up a few spots. The Giants have moved down 5. I am not high on the Giants at all. I think they're a 500 football team. I don't see them making the playoffs. I think the defense takes a large step back to be more of a top 13 or 14 defense. And I don't care about the additions of Brandon Marshall. They can't run the ball. They can't pass protect. That offense is going to be bottom 5 yet again, which it was last year. Don't forget that. And then the Panthers at 15, they're going to be a tough out this year, as well as the Vikings at 14. But both those teams have some pretty big questions, keeping them out of this next tier, which are your sort of baby playoff teams, the baby brother playoff teams. The Cards at 13, the Raiders dropping down to 12. I think they're going to have the worst defense in the NFL this year. I really do. The Texans moving down a little bit, but still actually kind of high on the Texans here at 11th. And then the Chargers moving up +3. I talked a lot about that stadium being kind of weird for this team, playing in a soccer stadium. But the more I think about it, it might be kind of an interesting edge. And this Chargers roster is stacked. It's honestly a top 6 roster in football. So they have some adversity to overcome with the move in that stadium, but I love the Chargers. No one's going to want to play this team this year. And then the Chiefs at 9, and they're probably going to move up, obviously, after last night. And then the Cowboys at 8. I think they're going to be solid, but they need to stay healthy because they don't have a lot of depth at any position, really. The Broncos at 7, moving down just a touch. Might have been a tad high on them. The Falcons staying put at 6th. I think the Falcons are going to be a solid team, but playing the toughest schedule in their division. They could be falling here, and then the Kyle Shanahan loss is definitely going to hurt them more than I think people are making it out to be, which is already kind of a lot. I think the Falcons' offense drops off quite a bit. The Eagles moving up 7 spots, picking them to go to the NFC Championship this year. Just love Carson Wentz. I'm all in, and that defense is going to be nuts. And then the Seahawks at 4, the Steelers at 3, the Packers at 2, and the Patriots at 1. So no movement in the top 4. So that does it for this week's episode of That Franchise Guy Picks. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Be sure to give this video a like if you enjoy the content, and we'll see you guys for the next one. Peace out.